Hey there, welcome to the Healthy Vibes podcast. I'm Kelly Renato, and I thank you so much for sharing your time with me today and listening to this episode. I know how valuable time is, and the goal of every single thing that I put out there, record, the content is just to support you, encourage you, and to empower you to make the choice that is best for you and your family and your values. So I empower you to slow down because the world is on crazy speed, chase what matters most, and not be pressured by this world. So today I want to talk about our kids and what we really should be teaching them. And I really believe they should be getting this even in school. And I know that school is packed with all kinds of things. I did homeschool my kids, and I was a strong believer in it for so many reasons. And it wasn't really the reasons most people think, which is funny because a lot of people I encountered along the way thought that I was homeschooling because, I wanted them to get, ahead quicker in school or teach them more of this or more of that or, help them to skip maths and get higher up. And that wasn't really what I was chasing. I was chasing what I valued, what I thought was most important, and what to me was really hard to give them when they're at school all day long. And at an early age, my son was coming home he was learning things that I had to teach him differently or reverse or tell him that I didn't agree with what they were teaching him. And listen, we all walk our own paths. I'm not saying there's one good way, one bad way. I'm saying that you have a choice. I know a lot of kids that thrived in school, public school, private school, whatever path they took. I'm just trying to tell you there's a choice. And sometimes, by no means am I an expert in any of these areas. I'm not a parenting expert. I'm not an education expert. I'm not a homeschool expert. But I'm a parent. I was raised in the 80s. I was at college when the internet was supposedly invented. I feel like I've seen a lot of things, and I've watched an entire world change since I had my own kids who are much older now, and we're in a season of one in college, one not quite there, but planning on it. And I made some really hard choices in raising them. My husband and I both made some really hard choices. We messed up a lot. We learned a lot. No regrets. But you learn as they go. And I feel like it's not that we don't necessarily know what to do. And, maybe sometimes we feel like we need permission, maybe. Or maybe it's just that we want to see, it would help us see there's another way, that the kids will be okay, even though right now you feel like they might not be okay. I just want to give you some thoughts. And I just think sometimes, and I remember being in the thick of it, because there's a lot of pressures in the world. There's a lot of noise in the world. There's a lot of distractions in the world. And the world is busy, like trying to keep up depending on what age your kids are, what they're involved in, and, trying to have family time with your own family under your roof, extended family time, which is also important, activities, friendships, you have friendships, time for your health, maybe you work. It's a lot. And sometimes we never have a moment to think, is there another way? We just stay on that cycle. And I was in it for a brief time. I was. And I felt the cycle. I was a working mom of having a business of our own, and I had kids. I was a non-working mom. I was a part-time working mom. I felt different avenues as I raised my kids. And then I was a full-on homeschooling mom. And I know most people thought it was really hard. A lot of people did not agree with it or support it, never changed their mind. Some people came around and saw it. Homeschooling has come a long way, especially since COVID and just with all the changes in the world. There really are a lot of resources out there. But whether your kid is homeschooled, in school, in a private school, there's good and bad in all of it. I just think there's some things our kids need to be taught. Whether we do it, I wish there were classes like this in school. And if you are an educator, you work in the system and you're listening, I would come teach this class or help you get it started in your system. Because kids, I feel like our kids need to know that they really do get to choose. And our parents need to teach them this in a lot of avenues of life. Because our kids are the byproduct of whatever we are being an example of. If we're constantly stressed, your kid's going to be constantly stressed. If we are trying to keep up with the Joneses or, the activities or the neighborhood or the play dates, they're going to always feel like they got to keep up with that. So I want you to know you really do get to choose, and you to teach your kids they really get to choose. So for example, when my kids were little and I felt overwhelmed by the play dates, by the friendships, by the pressures of activities, the comparison game, my kid this, your kid that, why isn't your kid do this? Why isn't my kid do that? Why did you go here? It was nonstop and it was overwhelming. I was honestly not ready for it. My kids were little. I started preschool and there was just a lot. And I wasn't in a great place after my second child. And I was even a little bit down after my first. I wasn't myself because if you've had a kid, you're different after you have a kid. And this is the truth. You're going to be. The chemistry of your body's changed. Your hormones have changed. Your priorities have changed. All of a sudden you have this little person you're taking care of. It changes. And I want to tell you to take a moment in the morning, in the evening, during your day, find a place to have some time for quiet, to think about these things, pray over these things, write your values down, and gain some clarity in your next choice. Because that was the only way that I started creating some clarity in my mind, clearing the overwhelm, clearing the fog, and knowing that I could choose something different. And so that's the first thing, teaching our kids they get to choose. So when my kids were little, I still remember the play dates and the birthday party invites and all of that, which is amazing. But, when they went to preschool, and it's too sweet, everyone in the class would invite everyone in the class to all the birthday parties, which was so nice. But it was hard to keep up, right? You have 2 kids or 3 kids, maybe you have 4 or more, and you can't do it all. So it wasn't only that I wanted to say no to some, I wanted to teach my kids how they didn't have to go to all of them either, and talk them through, what else we might do that day, who was their good friends, or who they really wanted to be there for. And I remember over years, one of my kids finally coming to me when they got invited to something, and they were like, I don't really want to go to this one. I don't know them that well. I don't know all their friends. And I could see that they were learning how to make that choice, because none of us are really good at saying no at certain times of our life. I'm really good at it now, but I wasn't good at it back then. And I know friends of mine that have also become better because we've learned as we've gone. But I'm here to tell you it is okay to say no. You don't have to do everything. And we have to stop pressuring our kids to do everything. Teaching them how to choose what is best for their time, their energy, and what matters most to them. And the earlier we start talking them through it, teaching them that, the better they will be when they're older. Because we know, all of us know, how we fill our plates up and we feel overwhelmed. We feel like we're stretched too thin because we keep saying yes. I remember one of my really good friends said to me at that time when our kids were little, I can't say no. And I get it. Like, we want to do, I say no to things I want to do. It's not that I just say no to everything I don't want to do, because that at one point does get easier. Sometimes we have to say no to what we want to do as well, just because of the priorities of what's going on in our life. Maybe we're not feeling good. Maybe we have a family thing going on. Maybe we're stretched too thin. Maybe our marriage is on the rocks. Maybe one of our kids really needs us and we need to be home with them rather than out at the fundraiser. We have to learn what our values are, what matters most, and choose accordingly. And that's where you teach your kids the same. What matters most to you right now? What are your values? What are you chasing? And have those honest conversations with your kids. Because when you're going at a mile a minute, you never get to have those conversations. It was hard when my kids were in school. They were busy. And that's where homeschooling was good for me, because we talked about these things all day long. It was just in our normal day. So teaching our kids that they get to choose, teaching them how to say no and not to be pressured by what everyone is doing. Giving themselves grace. And I think we as parents don't realize the consequences of our actions when we're not giving ourselves grace when we mess up. And a lot of times we don't immediately give our kids grace either when they make mistakes. And I think a lot of it comes from the pressure of the world of they need to make this GPA, they need to go to this college that they want, they've got to do the SAT again and again and again. And at some point in life, to me, one of the most important things my kids needed to learn was they were going to mess up, they were going to make mistakes, and the better they bounced back from that and kept going, the healthier their mind would be, the healthier their life would be, and the more successful they're going to be. Giving ourselves grace when we mess up, bouncing back, not sitting in it, just saying, I messed up, what did I learn from this? And bouncing back and keeping going is a life skill. And teaching our kids that. A lot, I see parents getting so upset. We see it in sports, you see it with grades, you see it with whatever, making their bed, whatever the kid is trying to keep up with. And I get it. We're trying to teach our kids responsibility, working hard, doing our best, and all of this matters. But get to know your kid, because some kids, it's really hard making good grades, balancing sports and schoolwork, balancing chores at home, sports and schoolwork. There's a lot of things involved, what they're dealing with at school, how exhausted their mind is by the end of the day. So grace is a life skill, and God gives us grace. We have to give ourselves grace, and we have to teach our kids grace, to give their own self grace. And we do this by us giving them grace and them seeing us give ourselves grace and other people grace. Not holding on to grudges and things that really, at the end of the day, are not as big as we think they are. Your kid is not supposed to be, master all of the things you want them to master. I see parents talking to their kids like they should already have these things mastered. I heard John Acuff say one time, he said, you want your kid to be kind? You teach them how to be kind and you give them 15 years to practice. And I see that. Once I heard that, I see that with every character trait that you're teaching your kid. Because we know as being a human, you mess up. Sometimes we overreact. Sometimes we say the wrong thing. So teach your kid to be kind, to be a hard worker, to do good, try hard in their class, to be on time, to organize their room, whatever. But realize it takes practice over the years. They have a lot of things they're juggling. Give them grace and just keep reminding and teaching them. The consequences come within themselves. Next, let's teach our kids to pay attention, because we're all different. And this is really important. Your kid is not necessarily just like you, and what fills them up and what drains them is different than you. So let's teach them to pay attention to what fills them up, what makes them feel good, what is good energy, what drains them, what are good choices for them, who are good what people make them feel good about themselves, what gives them good energy. And it really matters for them to learn. Their energy matters, what fills them up, what drains them, and it might be very different. I know that being at school all day long is draining. Some kids keep going. They can't take, they want to go here, they want to go there, they are filled up by socializing, and that's great. Some kids, are drained by the end of the day. So homework is hard. And yes, sports are great because there's a, release. A lot of times, it burns energy. It's good. But know your kid and teach them to know themselves because we're all different. And one of the really important ones, but I know it's hard for kids, is how they start their day. It really matters. And again, they're not going to master this when they're 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, but you can keep reminding them how they start their day matters. And one day, they'll remember that you told them that. Get outside first thing. If you can, get some sunshine. Start your day with sunshine, fresh air, the Bible, a devotion, prayers, 5 minutes of quiet time. And remind them how they shouldn't start their day on their phone, with the news, in the emails. And again, this one's a hard one, I think, for kids. But be the example and just every now and then keep reminding them. I don't hound them as they get older. Every age is different, and we all know this. We parent differently through the ages. I parented my 5-year-old, my 10-year-old, my 15-year-old, my 20-year-old, all different. At some point, you do step back and let them feel their choices. And it's going to be slower than you hope maybe, but that's how they learn. It's important to teach them how they respond to. So there's a lot of things, as we all know, that we can control, and there's a lot of things we can't control. So I try really hard to teach my kids what they have control of, because a lot of time when a problem comes up, when an issue comes up, sometimes we make it bigger than it is. Again, what can we control about this? Let's solve the problem if we can. How can we respond to this? Let's not overreact. So again, let's control how we respond, how we see it. Perspective matters, our attitude, and what's our next choice? Can we solve the problem? Do we need to make this bigger than it is? Let's not make it bigger than it is. I think a really, really, really big one, and this is important because a lot of us parents have a really big presence on social media. And I think we need to teach our kids by example and by conversation that they don't have to have a presence every day on social media. And this might go against what a lot of people feel and a lot of people think, because parents in themselves like to post. They like to post their kids. But it's really important, I believe, to teach our kids that, yes, social media is there, but not everyone needs to know where you are, what you're doing, who you're hanging with. And it's just healthy to build that when they're younger. And I do believe as an example of us as well, as we show them what we're posting and what our presence is. And it doesn't have to be every day. It just doesn't. And it will help them in the future, because we don't want their life ruled by it. It's part of their life, yes. It's a big part, and there's a lot of good in it, but there's a lot that can pull on their life in the wrong way as well. But if we teach them that doesn't have to be their life, that real life is better, and that takes parenting, that takes being involved, that takes keeping them busy, showing them other things. It's work, but it's worth it. So the next thing is hope. The one thing I feel that a lot of times people don't realize, they just don't feel hopeful or they see the bad. Hope is a choice. Our perspective of a situation, of life, how we see the world is a choice. So we can choose to see the best possible outcome. We can be hopeful in the outcome. So even in the hardest of situations, we get to choose how we see it, what we believe, and what we're choosing. And you know what? If we chose the wrong thing at first, we can choose again. And this is important to let them know too. I said that I was coming. I'm really not feeling up to it. I'm mentally drained, but whatever it is, you can choose again. Being mentally exhausted, feeling overwhelmed, run down, rushed, like you just need a day off, is not feeling good. You don't have to be sick with the flu to say no to something. A lot of times I think we have to say, I have the flu, I have bronchitis, maybe you're just mentally not feeling good. Life takes us busy, busy, busy. We all have a lot of responsibilities and things we have to get done. Pay attention to how you're feeling mentally and physically. It really, really matters. And health is a big part of what we should be teaching our kids as well. We have got to teach them the simple, healthy choices to take care of themselves. Healthy food, simple movement, get in the Bible, prayer, quiet time, spending time outside. It's those simple choices that matter. Let us teach them and be an example for them. Boundaries are a healthy choice, and boundaries are not a bad thing. It doesn't mean you don't like the person, you don't want to be around the person. It just means you learned about your energy. You're learning what's good for you, what's bad for you, staying out of the drama, staying out of the gossip, staying away from the negativity, choosing to be the good energy in the room, walking away when it's not good for you. These choices are okay. Let's teach them that quality matters more than quantity when it comes to friendships and people that we hang around. So all of this, to me, goes together in terms of our health and letting go of expectations that aren't realistic, and that's what the world puts on us. Let's remind them to love Jesus. God is in control. We can do our best every single day, but the ultimate plan is up to Him. But all of these are simple, healthy choices that are okay. And most of them, I believe we know, we just get caught up in the busyness and we don't choose them. So not only are these okay for us as parents, as moms and dads, but let us teach them to our kids and let us be an example of them for our kids. So please send this to another parent that you know that might just need to know there is another way. You can teach your kids these things. It is okay, and they're going to be okay. They don't have to be doing what everyone's doing, involved in everything, every day. And I'd love to hear from you. Reach out to me. Let me know what you thought. Send it to a friend. And thank you for being here and listening. Have a great week.